Good afternoon to one and all present here. Again, welcome to our today's second section. Ma'am, Manoj sir is out of station. He will join us shortly. So we can, on the behalf of Manoj sir, I start the. Dr. Kshama Gupta started her professional career with Regional Remote Sensing Center, Indian Space Remote Organization, Dehradun in year 2001, and currently working as a scientist in Indian Institute of the Remote Sensing, ISRO, Dehradun. Her research interests include urban climate and microclimate, urban green spaces, 3D modeling of urban areas, and application of the geospatial technology in urban planning. She has executed a number of research and operational projects on remote sensing applications. She has more than 60 publications to her name as a research paper in international national journals and conferences and ISRO technical reports. Dr. Gupta completed her PhD degree in architecture and planning from IIT Roorkee on urban climate. She completed her master degree in urban planning, SPA Delhi, and bachelor's in architecture from MNIT Jaipur. Thank you, ma'am. Now screen is your warm welcome.
Thank you very much. First of all, I thank your organization to organize this event and this faculty development program. And I thank Dr. Manoj Pawar for inviting me for this lecture. So today's talk is on remote sensing and GIS applications for urban area. So how we can utilize these technologies in urban applications. So let me share my screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So today's talk is application of remote sensing GIS for urban studies. So I'm working from last 20 years in this department, and we have variety of programs and variety of work. So let us start with urban area. As I understand, you all maybe from urban field, so you may be aware like what is urban area, and I did not go to in all these definitions, but we know that urban area accommodate 60% of the world population. They consist of 60% of world population, but they occupy only 2 to 3% of land area. So that's why urban area is very important, because their development and their proper management has a major role to play, even in your regional area as well as the global context also. So if we talk about India has, although it is said that India has less urbanization till now, like it has only 377 million population, but this number is very huge in respect to, like, if you look at the total number of people living in urban area, this number is quite huge. So if you talk about geospatial technologies, so it is basically an integration of three major technologies. So it is a discipline which deals with the spatial information. So when you talk about this, is one, first is your remote sensing, which is basically you're acquiring information from remotely sensed data. See, even our eyes are remote sensors, because we are taking remote sensing means we are acquiring information about any person or any object without coming in the direct contact. So basically, if you take the temperature from an infrared thermometer from a distance, it is also remote sensing. But once you touch the thermometer to the skin, then it is not a remote sensing, it is basically proper physical measurement. So remote sensing basically acquiring information from remotely sensed data. Now, second, the major technology is GIS. This is known as Geographic Information System. So it is basically data management, manipulation, analysis, and visualization. The third technology is your this GPS, where you have global, it is known as global positioning system, but nowadays it is known as global navigation satellite system. So this basically provides you accurate positional information. So now all these three technologies has been combined together, has been utilized for many more applications in urban area. So if you talk about remote sensing itself, you see remote sensing, it started in the World War II period, like that there was aerial photographs, and we have optical data, which takes data in the optical domain, like visible spectrum, visible area of electromagnetic spectrum. And these data set can be mono versus stereo, means it can be a single image data, or it can be overlapped stereo image data, which can be utilized for getting the 3D information from the data. Now it can have black and white, like it will have the broad band covering the broad band, but it is a single band data, or it has narrow bands with the multi, like number of bands are there, so we can convert it to multispectral data. Now, one more technology is there in remote sensing data is LiDAR, light detection and ranging. So it is basically, it also works in the visible region. Generally, it is also active remote sensing, and it works in the NIR region. So this is also LiDAR data is basically, it provides you the point cloud and the exact height information. Now, one more technology is microwave or radar data. It has the capability of taking images in all weathers. Like optical data has limitation, like if it is cloudy or there is a fog, the data is not clear, so you won't get data. But in case of microwave, because it penetrates the cloud, it has all weather capabilities, and it can provide you data during even flood situations. So for flood, preliminary analysis of flood damage assessment and flood situation, it is very good data. Now, next data is your hyperspectral data. Hyperspectral data is basically you have very narrow band, and number of bands are there, maybe more than 100 bands in one sensor. It provides you very narrow band, so you can even have a differentiation between different materials, like you have shell, concrete, asbestos. All these materials can be segregated with help of hyperspectral data, but using my black and white and multispectral data, we cannot segregate. I'll discuss about this in the next slides. Now, if we talk about GIS, then GIS, we have open source or freeware data. See, GIS earlier started with your desktop GIS. Now this desktop GIS is with commercial licenses. Now this whole environment has shifted to open source freeware GIS, and lot many open source data sets are available. And there are open source databases are also there. Like lot of databases are available in free domain, like Landsat data is available. Like it has temporal data is available, 30-meter data from a long period, like more than 30 years. So that can be utilized for many applications. Then you have Sentinel data, which is 10-meter resolution data, which is also available. And you can utilize those information for different purposes. Now, if we talk about GPS, it provides you accurate positional information. So earlier GPS basically is global positioning system. There, America has that system. That's why we know it as a GPS. And it has transcended to global navigation satellite system, because now many of the countries has their own navigation satellite system. Like there is a Galileo by European, and then GLONASS is Russia. And then India also have that is known as IRNSS, Indian Regional Navigation Satellite System. So this IRNSS is also, now India has its own navigation system, and over a period of time, in maybe few maybe coming years, you will get to know that your even mobile, your IRNS chip is there, so you will be able to get the locational information using IRNSS. Now, over a period of time, there is a change to there is an emphasis, changing emphasis. See, earlier the more emphasis was on data, where you have the data processing or pre-processing was the major task in remote sensing data. So your 71% time goes into data conversion and then spatial analysis. But now so much of data is freely available. Also, the data which you acquire that comes with lot of image processing is gone into back in the background. So your data conversion and other thing doesn't take time. So this is a changing emphasis in remote sensing GIS from data to spatial analysis. Now, if we talk about remote sensing data, India itself has a big, it has a big constellation of satellites. And from the very start, the first satellite was in, although 1975, that was experimental satellite, but 1988, 91, that was the operational satellite. It started with IIRS 1A, 1B. And now India has data up to like less than 30 centimeter also data is available. Cartosat 3 data is available, which is very good for your urban planning and many other applications, infrastructure applications. And similarly, geostationary also, India has launched so many satellites, which has helped us in getting the good communication. There, geostationary satellites are mainly communication satellites, as well as they provide their meteorological information. So all these has helped India also to build a capacity in communication as well as in meteorological. See, your lot of data goes from remote sensing to weather forecast models, and now because of ingesting of this information, integration of this information has helped modelers to improve the weather forecast to quite a good degree. Like now, your forecast is quite accurate. So now if we talk about, there is one term I am talking again and again, that is spatial resolution. So spatial resolution is basically uh, a pixel size or an area which you can see on the ground in 1 pixel. For example, there is a one AWIFS data which has pixel resolution of 56 meter. So your 56 meter by 56 meter area will have single value. So that way you will have, like, you can only study the regional level feature or broad level feature. Similarly, you have list 3. You have list 3. So list 3 also, there is a 24 meter FCC. So you can see that in list 3, your 1 pixel size is 24 meter by 24 meter in the digital image. So basically on the ground, it is 24 by 24 meter area is visible in 1 pixel. So there also you can I think somebody is
yes ma'am, I mute kar diya. Sorry ma'am, sorry.
Yeah. So there is like you can see that 24 meter by 24 meter pixel in one area is captured in 1 pixel. So you have one value for that. So you can even utilize this list 3 also for your district level planning, or you can utilize it for 1:50,000 scale mapping. And there is a list 4, like there is 5.8 meter image. So your detailing of your urban area increases because there is now 5.8 meter by 5.8 meter. And whatever you see on Google Earth image, they are sometimes 1 meter or less, but better than 1 meter data sets, 60 centimeter or better than that. So you can even see even single each and every building in urban area. So when we start working on remote sensing data, there are many cues on remote sensing data which helps us to identify different patterns, different objects on remote sensing images. So here you can see that there is one is tone. Like you can see this red tone. Red tone is generally indicative of, in false color composite, it is indicative of vegetation. This is showing a scrub area. Green, it is showing the scrub area. This is your building area. And if you see, like this is black is generally water. So because water is absorbed into the near infrared region, so water is shown in black color. So you can see that you can identify these features. Then there are different kind of textures, like there is a coarse texture, medium texture, smooth texture. I'll give some example. Then this pattern or basically arrangement of your objects. So here this pattern itself shows that this is a plant development area. And then shape and sizes. You can see the difference in shape and sizes of the object. That also helps you to identify different objects. Now then shape. Some of the natural and man-made objects, they have peculiar shapes. So those shapes also helps us to identify. Then there is association of different features. Like there is a park area, so there is a jogging tracks also there, fountain is also there. So these features are associated to each other. So we can easily deduce that this is a urban park area. And then shadow. Shadow of the building is also one of the important parameter while identifying some of the features. So let us take some of the examples one by one. But before that, we need to understand one very specific aspect of remote sensing data. Like this water this is the signature of water, where I have shown you that water is completely it has no reflectance in near infrared region. That's why water is black in remote sensing images. But if you look at vegetation gives very high reflectance in near infrared region. Near infrared region is very important in urban area because this gives you like most of the land surface features are vegetation features. So this is your vegetation. So that's why vegetation gives very high reflectance into near infrared region, and remote sensing can be utilized for multiple kind of vegetation studies. But if we look at this, the soil, this spectral reflectance curve, then we can see that soil is basically saturates when it reaches the upper, this one, it is saturating. So what happens in most of the urban area, the buildings, the uses are like most of the building has a similar kind of material, whether it is an institutional building, whether it is a residential building or commercial building. Most of the time your building material is same. So it is difficult to segregate them with the automatic classification. So what we do, we go for visual interpretation. We identify features by digitizing or looking at the image. So here, this is example one. So here you can see that these are the residential buildings because they are smaller in size as compared to these buildings. Here you can see these buildings are very large, but these buildings are institutional buildings. Why so? Because here the parking is indicative of that. If suppose this is an industrial building, then you will find heavy vehicle parking or arrangement of buildings would have been in a different manner. So your pattern will change. So it has regular pattern, but it has very specific association of objects. So that's what it shows that it is an institutional building. Now, if we look at this image, here the shadow of the building, shadow of the object shows that it is an elevated object. It is above the ground. So, and then this pattern and the shape, it shows that, okay, we are aware of that this kind of pattern is generally available in traffic junctions or flyovers, so that we can easily identify. Similarly, this kind of pattern is seen in your different, you can see that hilly region roads. So this way, all these patterns or knowledge of your area helps you to identify many features. So 1 second, I'll just, there is a lot of so now it is clear, the image. So this is one more image. Here you can see that there is a natural drainage. So it's not a river, it is a small drainage. So because of its pattern, its shape, its linearity, all helps us to identify this is a drainage. But here, the pattern of this and its association with the road and other parameters helps us to identify it is a canal. So this way we can identify different features on remote sensing images. And you can see here the pattern of these buildings shows us this is a residential area as well as it is a planned residential area. Similarly, on this image, you can see that there is a dendritic pattern of river. So it is a hilly region. Similarly, if you look at this image, there is one lake and another lake, but this lake is a mountainous region lake because you can see a lot of vegetation in the surroundings. But here, this is the desert lake, but this desert lake has a lot of barren rocky area in the surroundings. So all this helps us to identify different features. Here, this is an example of a railway station and how we can identify the railway line because of its large turning radius as compared to the road. So you can see that turning radius is quite large and this building is associated with the railway track. So we can easily identify, okay, this is a, a railway station area. Similarly, here there is a lot many sports facilities, like we can see number of stadiums here, a lot of many swimming pools, and there are a lot of facilities we can see, and it is a large sport facility. So if, although I have written the name is Athens Olympic Grounds, but if we don't know also, then also we can understand that, okay, this is a some national level sport facility because lot many sport facilities are clubbed together in this area. Now, if we look at these two images, we can see that this is a natural water body because this is showing very dark black color. It is deep also, like depth of the water body is also more because there is a very dark color of black color is shown here. And the shape shows that it is a natural water body. But here, the shape is indicative that this is a man-made water body and water is also not much. But here, lot much of urban development is there in the surrounding. So definitely it is not a swimming pool, it is a pond because lot much of development can be seen in the surrounding. So like this, we can keep on identifying the feature. This is few of the examples I'll give here. Like in this image, this is a very peculiar shape of a water body. And this image is of Bhopal. And everybody who is familiar with Bhopal, we know that the lower lake has this kind of shape. Similarly, we can identify different kind of density of development also based on the texture differences. Like here, the texture is comparatively smooth. But if we go to these areas, the texture is comparatively coarse. So that helps us to identify different kind of density of development also. I'm sorry. Similarly, this kind of this image here, based on the texture difference, the boundary of the old area could be identified. Like there is a texture difference between this and this area, like this and this area. And here you can see this is a railway line and a large turning radius can be seen, a water body. And water body has like very interesting part of the remote sensing image. Although this water body has been limited based on this construction of road, but we can see that earlier the water body area was going up to this extent. Because of availability of moisture in this area, we can easily identify the area of water body. Now, this is one more image, a very interesting image, which I find most of the time, where you can see an area. It is one big complex in the center of the development. And you can see the 4 gates here. You can see a development, one arterial road going this side and one more arterial road going this side. So this is basically Meenakshi Temple, Madurai. And this type of temple development, the like South Indian temples have this cardinal axis development. So this is a very peculiar architectural feature. So this can help us to identify the different features here. And this arterial road development also shows that there is a planned development in this area. So all these things helps us to gives us lot much information about any area other than uh, and this is also one of the image. Anybody can guess what is this? Okay, so okay, uh, uh, it is a launch pad area. Here it is, see, whenever you identify a feature, you have to understand its characteristics. Like this in launch pad area, you can see a big structure, big vertical structure with lot of shadow, like big shadow. So that is showing that it is a high rise structure. But you are able to see that large area is devoid of any other development and it is near to associated with the sea coast. So that helps you to identify its characteristics and your area feature you can identify. Similarly, your substation viewed from satellite data, that also you can identify because of its maintenance road network. So that you can identify many features. Similarly, this is a water treatment plant where you can see the series of tanks. So we know that water treatment is basically a series of functions are there, so that can help us to identify. Similarly, you can see this is a port area, like port of Karachi. You can see like lot many activities related to port and different kind of development. So this pattern, it's very much indicative of your port area. Now, this is for architectural student. You can easily guess this is an auditorium because of its peculiar shape. And so this is some of the examples. Like here you can see this is a brick kiln. You can see a big chimney, that shadow of big chimney here. And the peculiar shape of the brick kiln, either it is in the circular or elliptical shape. And here you can see like uh, large money. See, this is NCR region image where you can see the number of brick kiln. So these images, now people are trying to develop algorithms and methods where you can automatically extract these brick kilns from the image, and then you can even count that number of brick kilns in your surrounding, and then you can, that goes into your modeling aspect, like how much is your pollution they are creating and how you can manage that. So all these aspects can be maintained with this. So this is also one image of like typical village settlement, where you have that common area and then houses are in the surrounding. So it's a typical village settlement. Now here also you can see this one image where you can see like there are few tanks, and in these tanks you can see like some of the tanks are has more siltation, some tanks has less siltation. Like this tank has lot much siltation is there here also. So all these also you can identify using your, and this tank is completely silted. So all this thing helps you to take, like it helps the even decision makers to take the decisions and monitor the programs also. So, and here also this image is showing. And one interesting part of your remote sensing images is provide you the synoptic view. And when it provides you the synoptic view, there are sometimes the features which you are not able to see even standing on the ground. You can make the connection between those features. For example, there is a river channel and these are the paleo channels. So you can even make the connection. Okay, these channels, although seems totally disconnected from the river, but they are basically not disconnected. They are part of the river system. So all these areas can be avoided for development. Similar example you can see in this image where although river channel is there, these seems to be two disconnected water bodies, but they are not disconnected. If you look at these carefully on the remote sensing images, they have the connecting channels. And we as a planner, we should not encroach upon those connecting channels to avoid waterlogging situations or to avoid any other problems in future. Now, if you, there is one more example of this river system, remote sensing image, and you can see that connecting that paleo channels and oxbow lakes and all this, the complete system you can see, like how this river system is changing over a period of time, that also can be seen. Now, if you look at this total image, this now remote sensing image is also one of the major tool for change detection or monitoring of your features. For example, I am showing you one image where it is Japan's Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. It has like taken like in 2009, and it was taken after the blast. So you can see the damage in the area. So now remote sensing images forms a very basic and very important input for your this damage assessment and disaster management. So you can see some more examples here. Like if you take this building as your reference point building, then you can see the amount of damage happened in this area. So this way you can, it can be easily used for your damage assessment. Now in this image, you can see like there is a lot of activity going on in this image, in the right hand side image, but in left hand side image, there is no activity. So this is basically after earthquake. This is a post earthquake scenario where people are not afraid to go inside the houses and they congregate in your this open areas. So this is one example of this image. Now, see, with all these data sets, ISRO has developed one portal that is similar to your Google Earth, that is Bhuvan, where it gives you the facility to prepare your even own shape file. You can digitize your own road, you can your own map or land use map or some other features, and you can download that shape file to your system. So this is like, now let me give you one example of what we were talking about resolution. So like there is a spatial resolution. This is IIRS list 3 data. This is 23.5 meter data. So you can see that here you can identify only the major road network. You can identify this is a bare land, this is built up area, this is vegetation, agricultural mainly, this is some waterlogged area, waterlog area, or water is there, some maybe water bodies are there. This is a major road going on, this is developing land or maybe a bare land. So all these you can identify. But if you, so you can prepare a detailed, not sorry, a broad level land use map where your broad level classes you can identify, which are useful for your district level or regional level studies. Like you can prepare a map of maybe many of your surrounding city areas and you can compare them. So, and if you can want to do, if you take the temporal data, you can do the growth monitoring, how the city has grown from a one period to another period. So these kind of studies are possible. If we come to this 5.8 meter resolution data, you can see that you are able to see even the minor roads, like minor and local roads also. So you can prepare very detailed land use map with this one, like where you can identify residential, industrial. We had already discussed about like how different queues are there on remote sensing data, which helps us to identify these classes, like this public and semi-public and transportation and so many other classes we can identify. Definitely some of the classes we need some ground understanding or understanding of the data. Now, if you look at the 1 meter data, so 1 meter data can be utilized for preparing the very detailed land use map, where each and every building has been identified and its land use has been identified. Some of the classes definitely requires some information from ground. So this detailed land use map can be utilized for preparing your dwelling unit map, where we had extracted only those buildings which has the residential land use. And based on this size of the building and that height of the building, how it has been measured, based on this, the shadow of the building, the height has been measured. Here you can see one more class is the slum. So slum we can identify based on the texture differences. So all these buildings has been identified, and now these buildings has been converted into a number, and these numbers has been multiplied with the average household size. So based on this, we could calculate the number of people living in this area. And there is in slum area, because each and every building footprint could not be separated. So total area was mapped and density per person per square meter was measured on the ground for a small pocket, and it was extrapolated to the whole area. So we can calculate the total population, and we got to see here, you can see that this is the population which was estimated was this much, 7,001, and population of the ward was 7131. So estimated results accuracy was almost 98%. Although this depends upon how much which area you are taking. This area was having a lot of planned development, so it was easy. But if it doesn't have the planned development, your accuracy may vary. So that, but you can easily estimate the population, like intercensal population, sometimes very much required for your infrastructure project. So this kind of your population estimation can be carried. So now this is a summary of, not a summary, indicative list of the different applications which can be carried out using your remote sensing data at different resolution. So we have seen like there is a 30 meter to 360 meter data, like list 3 data, like 24.5 meter data. So this we can map up to 1:50,000 to 1 million. Or it can be utilized for multiple applications like land use, land cover, urban sprawl and growth monitoring, major transportation network, regional level corridor planning. It is very good data for your disaster management, like your flood, cyclone, drought, earthquake, landslide and slope, and regional level maps and settlement network.
Hello.
Yeah.
Ma'am, the maps which are generated on Google Maps and that Bhuvan that you talked about.
Yeah.
Ma'am, those satellite images which are being captured by satellite, how much means like what is the time duration of the capturing of the images of satellite? How much means like what is the time the satellite updates the images and sends and relays it to the map?
See, every sensor, every satellite has its own repeativity. See, see, most of the remote sensing satellites are polar orbiting satellites. So depending upon their constellation, the repeativity can be 5 days to 15 days or 25 days. So repeativity means the satellite will visit that same area again. So sometimes it depends upon the satellite to satellite, how much repeativity you will get. So mostly generally 16 to 25 days repeativity is there in most of the satellites. So you will get data every 16 or 25 days. And in some satellites, when they have constellation of 2-3 satellites, then you will get data at every 5 days or 6 days. So
the delay is every 5 days and 6 days.
Yeah.
So if somebody in, let's say if somebody in between if he opens one store or medical store or new shop, then how, if it is a 5-6, let's say within this 5-6 days gap is somewhere in between, if somebody opens the shop, I know it's a weird question, but if somebody opens the shop, how is that particular map able to update that particular data at immediate time?
See, remote sensing images, they provide you the basically pictorial representation of Earth's surface.
Yes.
You have to convert it into information. A person who is working in remote sensing area, working on remote sensing images, they have to convert it into information, either by classification or by digitization or by identifying the features. Suppose you are, what example you have given, like this 5 days, like one person has opened the shop. So after 5 days also, if you identified that shop, it doesn't matter much.
Yeah.
See, suppose it is not that kind of activity where you need daily monitoring. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
But if you have daily monitoring, like I'll give you one example, like this, most of this, I have told you, most of the satellite give you 5 days in the 5 days or 16 days or 25 days images.
Correct.
But there is one you must have heard about, Dove satellites.
What satellites? Sorry.
There is this Dove satellite there, a satellite constellation where they have launched 100 satellites of the same configuration.
Okay.
So this is a Planet Lab data. Planet Lab is the company. They have done this exercise, not exercise, but they have done this constellation, and now they can provide you data every day, even hourly data also.
Okay.
So depending upon your requirement, suppose there is a disaster situation. where even every hourly data is important. So that time you can contact them and you can take that data.
Okay, so every time the time value can be changed. Time delay can be changed whenever required. If it is
Yeah,
urgent, if it is like
depending upon
obviously
your
a national security
objective.
issue,
Yeah,
if you want to
depending.
gather any intelligence and all that stuff.
Yeah, if you're in the intelligence field, you will have a different requirement.
Yes, correct.
So in today's context, lot of satellite data is available. Lot many satellite data is available, but definitely some data is available in civilian domain. Some data is not available directly in civilian domain. Some data is available free of cost. Some data is on the cost basis. So
Yes.
depending upon your objective, you can choose the data and you can use that data for your application.
Okay.
Okay, so we were talking about medium resolution data. So where this can be utilized for 1:10,000 to 50,000 scale mapping. For example, urban land use mapping, urban suitability analysis, your major minor transportation network, city guide map. See, this list is just an indicative. There is many more applications you can do. In case of disaster, you can go for post-disaster damage assessment, vulnerability analysis, and land and water resources development. Similarly, if you go to micro level where you have this high resolution 0.3, now it is 0.3 meter to 4 meter data is available, up to 0.3 is also available. So that can be utilized for 1:1,000 to 1:5,000 mapping. So there you have urban land use, slum, local road network, building footprint, and many more population estimation, then your solar potential estimation, this many more application, rooftop water harvesting, so many things you can do because the basic information for all these application is your building footprint. Once you get the building footprint, then you can add some equations or some model to it and you can get the information regarding this. I'll show you some of the examples of these applications one by one in the next slides. Now it can be utilized for post-disaster detailed assessment. Like suppose there is an earthquake, there are many buildings which are completely damaged. So those damaged buildings can be mapped using your remote sensing data in the lab itself. And then you can identify approach route. See, nowadays with the Google and Google Map, based on your this maps only, by this all the road network which has been taken, which has been digitized, there has been digitized using your very high resolution satellite data. Now using those road network, there is a in the background there is a GIS network analysis system works, and that gives you when you put your origin and destination, like you put I am starting from here and I have to reach there. So it shows you the least cost path. Least cost path means least time taking path. It shows you the different approach routes. So whatever you see on Google Earth, it has lot much remote sensing and GIS capabilities going behind it. Like the major, it is basically a combination of all three technologies. Like remote sensing images has been used to obtain the road network. GIS is running in the behind to do you the network analysis, and GPS is giving you the like real time your positional positional coordinates, so which helps you to identify, okay, you are standing here and you can reach to that site with this route. And there are so many applications you can see. Now if in the rural development you can see the cadastral level map. Nowadays lot of like there is a lot of emphasis going on by the Indian government to digitize the cadastral map and georeference them, so that we can overlay them over your satellite image and then we can identify. It is very good for your lot many rural development exercises. Suppose you had overlaid your cadastral map over the satellite data. Now from the satellite data, you can easily identify what is the sodic land. Now, whatever the sodic land, whatever the cadastral parcels which are falling into that sodic land area, those owners can be given some incentive, or they can be given some technical know-how or some incentive to treat their soil and bring them into again cultivation. So there are so many applications which can be done using this remote sensing data. Similarly, I'll give you one example. Like one watershed, like one small check dam is built. Now this small check dam will submerge some of the cadastral boundaries like land parcels. So based on your this remote sensing data, you can easily identify, okay, these many land parcels will be submerged. Now government has to give them some incentive because their land parcel is now part of your watershed, this check dam area. So now the government can directly give them the some incentive. Now there are projects where people have even tried, like they have taken the pre and post images. Like suppose there is a check dam was built, what is the situation before check dam was built, and what is the situation after check dam is built? Because definitely if the check dam is built, there is a availability of water, so it should definitely improve the agricultural practices in that area. So all these can be done using your remote sensing data. Okay, now I'll show one more, some of the applications, some of the examples. Like I have told you, like urban growth monitoring is one of the example, like I'm showing here. Like this is the Dehradun city. So in 1987, how the city looked like, and what is the built up extent in 92, 98, 2003, 2008. And even you can go further like 2013, 2020, 21. So you can identify how the city growth has taken place over a period of time. So this is one example. Now it's here you can even study like how which area has developed in which period of time, and then you can do like lot much of analysis, like what are the factors with behind development in that area, or how you can manage. Suppose there is a growth of the city in one particular direction, so how you can control the growth in that direction. So many applications are possible. Now I'll show you one example of georeferencing of cadastral map. Like you identify the common points and you overlay, like you will identify the common points in the sense like this is one feature and you can see the similar feature here. So based on these coordinates, you can identify, you can georeference this map over your this satellite image, and you can see that this is the georeferenced map. Like this is a vector file which is digitized, then it is overlaid over this one. And this is one of the mosaic of 3-4 villages. Similarly, you can see like how it has been overlaid over the, so you can see your boundaries are quite, it is very good accuracy, especially in flat regions like Chhattisgarh and other areas. It has been found that your overlay over the like satellite image is very accurate. It has 3 to 5% of error. So that is how government of India is now putting a lot of emphasis on this georeferencing that can help a lot in rural development program. Now this is one of the example of slum mapping where using the satellite data, the even the small building footprints of the slum has been mapped, and then a data is collected based on your this where they have wall, where they have the water supply. So the data can be um, uh, collected from the ground, and then analysis can be done. Then now there is one more example, like this is a vegetated area, like how you can compute vegetated area. So because from the remote sensing area, we have extracted the vegetation area, like we have separated out the non-vegetation and vegetation area. And now when we overlay our administrative boundaries, like in case of Chandigarh, those are sector boundaries. So we can see in which sector your which sector has more green area, which sector has less green area. For example, here you can see that in Chandigarh, like up to sector 16, it is most of the administrative zone is there, and you can see lot much of your vegetation, like high vegetation percentage in these sectors. But if you come to the second part, like residential zone, there also you will find that in most of the sectors, your vegetation is quite sufficient, like it is quite good. But if you come to the new development part, where you can see like some of the sectors has very less vegetation percentage. So these kind of analysis we can do. Like for this, in the temporal analysis also, like in case of Delhi, we can see like how in 2005, how much is the vegetation area per, and we can even calculate the per capita area and how it has shifted and changed into 2030. So this kind of analysis can be done. And now So this is like, if you can see, like this is one change detection we have done. Now in this exercise, what has been done, like multi-parametric index was developed for the quality management or for assessing the quality of urban green areas. So here there is a lot of multi-parameters like amount of green, type of green, proximity to green, height of green, density of built up. So all these parameters has been taken and they have been combined together to create you can find this you can comparatively you can do the comparative analysis of different areas and you can see like how this development is which area has a good development, which area has less vegetation. So this all can be analyzed. Now I have told you that there is a optical remote sensing data and thermal remote sensing data also. So this thermal remote sensing data, this provides you land surface temperature. It is basically 10 to 14 micrometer bandwidth of your electromagnetic spectrum. So in this area, it is basically captures the emission by the land surfaces. So it can be, this data also can be utilized, and here you can see like here this has been utilized to study with respect to pervious surface fraction and your LST. So we can see that as your pervious surface fraction means your vegetation and water, it is and bare soil. Pervious surface fraction means your vegetation, water and bare soil. So when it is going down, like increasing, your temperature is decreasing. Similarly, here in this case, we can see like we can create this kind of line profile, and we can see like from the park area, if we go away, like so we can see like nearly up to 150 meter or 180 meter, your temperature stabilizes. So that's why we say that distribution of urban green spaces is very important, because if you have park area, well distributed park area, so they will help you to regulate your microclimate. But if you don't have well distributed park area, then it is very difficult. Like there will be some pockets will be very hotspot pockets in urban area, and some people will be having very cold spot pockets in the urban area. Now this one case study, this is showing that how we can study the accessibility to green. So this accessibility to green means how much time you are taking to reach your green area, so or your park area. So we have seen that if we generally people like to walk for accessing to the park, and if they are within 10 to 15 minutes of walking distance, then they use the park regularly. Otherwise they tend to skip and they don't use it regularly. So based on this concept, we have identified the park, we had identified the road network, and we did the network analysis, and we have found that most of the smaller park areas which has very uneven distribution in the study area, although neighborhood and larger area park has the better distribution. So that way we could find it, we could study. So it reveals poor accessibility at all hierarchical levels in parts of East Delhi, because you can see that even not even 30% the population is served through these parks. So this is some of the example you can whether you can see like applications. Here you can see like this is suitability analysis has been done, where a suitability has been identified for different urban land uses. So here what we have done, we have identified the suitability for residential separately, warehousing separately, and recreational separately. And all of them were combined together to see the optimal use of land. Because see, sometimes if we identify the this one like only for your suppose urban development, so we tend to miss some of the areas. Like recreational area can be developed in those areas which are like little bit water logging area or which is flood prone area, but those area can be very easily utilized for development of recreational land use. So this can be utilized for this one. So we can This is one is exercise is multi-objective land allocation, where different land uses were given the different suitability analysis, and then they were combined together to find the suitable land uses. And when this land use was presented to the local authority, they have found this is the very good allocation of land as per their own understanding also. So they have found it very objective exercise as well as very fast as compared to your like conventional approach. They have found it very fast. It is objective, and it is giving the land allocation which they also feel that it is suited for that area. So, and another data is nighttime, so which can be utilized to see your nighttime. Basically, it is also visible data. It shows you like what are the areas which are well lit during nighttime. So you can see that there is a Punjab area which is well lit, even the Dehradun, that Delhi area, but you can see that this Uttarakhand area is not so well lit, or even your Jharkhand area is not so well lit. So all this helps you to identify your human settlements, as well as you can use for population and economic studies also. Like sometimes people have tried to see your population estimation, even electricity consumption, like state-wise also you can identify what kind of electricity consumption is there. So all this data can be utilized. And this nighttime OLS data now goes as a very good input to your even planning commission also, to identify the level of development in different states and different regions. So this is some of the very good examples of remote sensing data utilization. Now this is mapping and monitoring of urban heat islands. So here you can see like how I have already told you that land surface temperature. Now you can do the ward-wise analysis of land surface temperature, which has ward has a more temperature, which ward has a less temperature, what kind of development characteristics of are there for those wards. So all these can be done. Now remote sensing data can be utilized for your even 3D modeling and visualization also. Like there are two examples I'm giving, like one is your high resolution satellite data. So this is Cartosat 1 stereo has been utilized to prepare the 3D model of this Nehru Place and then Akshardham. So although we have found that some of the complex structure with fine geometric detail requires better spatial resolution, but we found very good accuracy of these 3D models. Similarly, this airborne LiDAR has been utilized, and you can see a very good skyline and very good 3D model of a city area. Like here you can see each and every building, and you can visualize. So here this can be utilized for further analysis. Like suppose you have the 3D building footprint map, and you know what is the land use or use of the building floors at different levels, like at what is the use of the building at ground level, what is the use of the building at the first floor and second floor. This data can be collected from the ground, and then you can put that into visualization. So these all data is very good for decision making and even understanding like what kind of development characteristics are. Now, if I'll come to that more, because it is more, I think some of the architects may also be there. So I had kept these slides also, like how remote sensing is utilized for your cultural heritage site. So here you can see like this is Dresden and Elbe Valley. And there you can see like remote sensing data has been utilized to see like what is the flood prone areas that has been identified. So now if you now you can see like kind of flooding situation here. So this can be utilized for protecting your heritage sites also, because you can monitor the flood and you can prepare the protection plans for the future. Now, if you look at this one more example where this remote sensing data, especially microwave remote sensing data, is very good for studying your land subsidence rates. So because it gives you the difference in elevation in millimeters. So you can utilize this data for land subsidence analysis. So this kind of analysis, like in land subsidence analysis of Delhi, also shows like Delhi, that especially the western part is like subsidizing, but like there is height elevation is going down in terms of millimeters maybe, but that is mainly because of groundwater exploration. Similarly, here you can see that they have prepared the land subsidence rate, like how the Venice, that the change in topography is taking place. So this can be utilized for, similarly for natural heritage site. You can see the temporal analysis like 73 to 2002, how this area has developed over a period of time, like this much, lot much urban development has come. So now you can see the changes, and you can take precautions or you can take measures for protection and prevention. Similarly, this see, this is one example. Like this is a Virunga National Park. You can see like very this area is almost inaccessible area. But like this is a volcano active area. Volcanic activity is very much there. So you cannot go there. It's very difficult to go there, but satellite images can be utilized for monitoring those areas also. Similarly, this example here, you can see that this is one of the fort area. It has very peculiar typology. So all these kind of fort area can be measured, mapped. So now ISRO, based on this, ISRO has taken one project with Ministry of Culture, that they are going to identify all like cultural heritage or monuments of national importance, and they want to identify that the prohibited zone and that protected zone, regulated zone and protected zone, so that over a period of time in this area they can see how development is taking place and how these activities are changing this area. Now there is one more technology. I have told you LIDAR. So there is one terrestrial LIDAR which can be utilized for capturing the 3D models of area in very much detail, because this LIDAR has the capability of give you very even millimeter level details. So this is very good for your heritage site. Like this is a point cloud, and now you can see that this point cloud has been utilized to prepare a 3D model. So now all the details, very minute details of your has been captured in this, because it goes up to millimeter levels. So you can capture even very minute details of your heritage structures, even statues and so many other things. Like this is India Gate, and this is one of the LIDAR data of India Gate. And this, although it seems a very image kind of thing, but here at every millimeter or more than less than a millimeter, you will find a point which will give you X, Y, Z information of that structure. Now, this is also one of the structure, like one of the, like I think it is Bibi Ka Maqbara. So all these things you can see. And so now there is one more technology. See, LIDAR scanners are very costly. You can see like they are almost 80 lakhs to 1 crore systems. So now what is this? You can see that there is one technology which has been developed that is known as close range photogrammetry, or it is a very low cost virtual surface modeling. Like you can use even your mobile camera, you can use some good quality camera and metric quality camera depending upon the accuracy requirement. And you can calibrate the camera, and you can establish location, and then you can create 3D models. Like this is one of the example, like this is different photographs has been taken, and this is kind of 3D model has been created using this low cost technology, that is terrestrial images, and you can create a very detailed 3D model. Similarly here, this is one of the example of like, this is some of the continuous images of one temple has been taken, and then a 3D model has been created. One example of one street view, where number of photographs of this street has been taken, and when they have been processed together, then you get this kind of 3D model. Now, some of the complex structures sometimes it's very difficult to create because they have lot of complexity, but like your terrestrial laser scanner or close range photogrammetry can be utilized for those complex structure also. Like this is in Google SketchUp, this is a model of Lotus Temple has been built, and this has been utilized. Like the surrounding like prohibited zone and regulated zone, it has been used to see how much is the percentage of green. So this kind of analysis are also possible and what kind of development is taking place. Similarly, this is a 3D model of Connaught Place, which is like remote sensing data has been used as a backdrop, and height of the building was measured either using ground data or it can be measured even using your satellite data also. So using satellite data, your this height of the buildings are measured, and some ground photographs were taken and it was rendered, and this can be utilized for this different kind of your wind analysis also. Like you can see like a different level how your wind flow is there, and different um, angles also your wind flow is there. So this kind also can be done. Now using lidar data, I have already shown you like there are some, like this is very detailed 3D model. You can see each and every building with slope and even roof slope also very good, very perfectly captured. So all these kind of rendering can be done, and 3D visualization can be done. This is also one of the example of Toronto, where I had already shown you this skyline of Toronto also, but you can see the detailed 3D model here. You can see even on the roof structures, top of the roof, you can see the detailing of all structures and superstructures. So that is there. So this can be done. Now, there is one exercise you can do, like, because nowadays, when we talk about architects, we are generating a lot of AutoCAD data, like BIM data. Now this BIM data can be converted into GIS and then can be further utilized for lot many analysis. So this example has been taken. There is one hostel. This hostel BIM model was created, and then there is some of the detail model has been created, and this has been converted into GIS. So this is some of the buildings which has been generated, and model has been done, and they all together was seen like how they are like working together, like what is the composition that was done. And then we can see, we can utilize it for shadow analysis, like how at different time of the day your shadow is coming in that area. So that kind of analysis can be done, and it can be done like how much is shadow in each and every month is there at different time. Now this can be utilized to identify the rooftop area which is available, and how much is the solar potential is there, and how much electricity generation can be done. So only from these three buildings we can identify like how much carbon dioxide emission can be mitigated, and how much this one is their peak tree over the lifetime can be this one. Now this remote sensing data, when it is utilized, you can see that there is a building, like when we talk about, till now we had talked about many applications when we were going for digitization, but now a lot of emphasis is there ki, like if we take get this information as much as automatically, like as much as automatically we can get this information. So you can see that there is one exercise we have done using remote sensing data with where in different building density area, buildings were extracted. So here you can see it's very good accuracy, especially in medium building density area and low building density area. In high density area also building is less, but it is also very good. Even like nearly 75% of building are extracted correctly. So there is one more example I'm giving you here, like urban spatial growth modeling, where you take the temporal data and using models, you can simulate the growth of a city in the future. And then you can check it with the actual growth, what is going on. So this way you can go for urban spatial growth modeling also. Then there are some examples of flood modeling where a lot of data has been like a slope, land use, land cover, and DM. So much of data has been taken from the satellite data, and based on different equations, it was identified like what is the peak discharge of this area, like on what is the flood affected area for different return periods. So all these modeling can help you has a better planning, like to do a better planning of urban areas in future. Then there is a web-based water utility management where all the water utilities from the satellite data, some of the data was taken from satellite, some data was taken from Jal Sansthan, and all this data has been brought into a web-based utility, and where all the demand supply gap has been analyzed, and it has been seen like how much, which area is well served and which area is not underserved area. Similarly, there is one technology known as ground penetrating radar, which can be utilized for mapping the subsurface utility. So that is also one of the technology which is available and which can be utilized for mapping the underground pipelines. So that is there. And so when we combined all these technologies, so there is, I have already told you that earlier the data was available was on cost, but now lot of data set was available on is available free of cost, like Landsat data, Sentinel data, and lot many derived data is also available free of cost. And you must have heard about one technology, that is Google Earth Engine. It is a web-based engine where you can do all the classification, everything on the like on the go in the web environment only. You need not to buy the softwares or any other thing for that purpose. You can download the data, you can go for classification. So based on this Google Earth Engine, we had developed one customized tool, like in IIRS, we had developed one customized tool where it can be utilized for land cover, analyzing the land cover change. It will be utilized for urban growth monitoring, like how urban area has grown over a period of time. It can be utilized for urban growth modeling. So this data, this tool is under development, and maybe in future it will be available to planning community also, where you have to just select the data and click some button and you will get the output. Similarly, nighttime data analysis. So this application is under development. Now for supporting this urban development ministry, like Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, in the Amrit program. See, Amrit program, they have one sub scheme, that is GIS based formulation of master plans. Now in GIS based master plan formulation, they have to collect lot much data on the ground. So that data collection is not so easy. So for that purpose, to facilitate that, there is one mobile app has been developed from IIRS. So that is known as Sankalan, and it is available at amrit.irs.gov.in. So you can download this app and you can see, like, see this data, this app provides you geo-tagged data for each and every feature and facilitate your ground data collection to a very high extent. Now, if you talk about some new trends, so there is an unmanned aerial vehicle, UAV is known, which is commonly known as drone. And this is also coming as new technology. Like I have told you, like we can go up to very detailed maps, but with the remote, this UAV data, we can go up to even 500 scale map or 300 scale maps. And this can be new, this can be in the future, it can be very like important and maybe well utilized technology in urban planning, because now from UAV there is a pilot projects are going on where they are talking about property management and property survey, and so many other exercises or pilot projects are going on. So this can be a very good data where it provides you orthomosaic and it provides you 3D city model and 3D fly through, like you can fly the UAV at different heights, and you can create this kind of, and so many other applications which will come in over a period of time. Now I'm on the almost on the last screen. I hope it is still you are still there, because it is very long lecture. So now this is one of the teachers training program which IIRS conducts every year for this university teachers, university and college teachers, where lot of information, remote sensing and GIS, it is packed into 8 weeks. It is a 8 weeks program Now, because of the COVID, it is going as only this 2 weeks or 4 weeks program, but hopefully this year with maybe COVID is coming, like COVID is less, it allow us to conduct these programs. So we can see this, like a lot many college teachers, they attend this program every year. Now, this is my last slide, and I'm open to the question. In the meantime, I can show you some of the like. Thank you. Hope you had enjoyed the journey. You have enjoyed this deliberation, and I can show you some of the videos, like how remote sensing utilized for like preparing this kind of like 3D models of urban area. So this is used, this 3D model is prepared using airborne lidar plus aerial photographs. So this kind of very realistic 3D models can be prepared for the entire city area. So this is the capability of this technology. Although sometimes we get some data, sometimes we don't get some data, but it has multiple applications, and still you can explore many more applications in future. So I'm open for question. Any questions you can ask me now.
If anybody have any question or doubt, you may ask.
And what technology is being used for night vision? Whether we want to
Pardon,
get any.
please repeat the question. Your voice was breaking in between.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah.
Ma'am, I was asking what kind of technology is being used for night vision? If you want to gather information during night time, what kind of information? What kind of?
See, nighttime, I have told you night light data. So basically it is optical data only, but it gives you an idea of which area is well lit, which area is not lit. So if you take the city area, so because of these lights, like we have the electricity lights in the city area, so the city area is well lit. So that you can identify. And for the night, you have the emissivity data, like there is MODIS data, which collects the data during night. So that data is basically emission data, like how much is the emission from the earth surfaces in the atmosphere, that can be captured. That is known as thermal remote sensing data. So only that it can be utilized for land surface temperature and some other applications. But generally, most of the data which we use, that is your daytime data only.
So basically, you mean after capturing the data data is extracted and then it is being processed for image processing.
Yeah. See, data is just a data. You have to convert it into information as per your requirement.
Yes, correct. Thank you.
Ma'am, I have a question. Ma'am, can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yeah, please.
Ma'am, these microwave remote sensing data, can they be used to capture a data below the ground surface? That means at least the topmost layer of the Earth's surface?
See, microwave remote sensing data is used for your soil moisture calculation. Like
Okay.
it is used for soil moisture analysis, like every day how much is the soil moisture in the topsoil area. But
Okay.
it cannot penetrate more in the ground.
Which is the satellite imagery which can be which is used for these kinds of study?
There are microwave satellites. I'm forgetting the name. One is your, okay, I'm sorry. You can look at soil moisture and microwave remote sensing.
Okay, okay, sure.
So you will get those satellite name. There are American, European and American satellites. They provide you daily soil moisture.
What will be the imagery resolution, ma'am, to study this?
Post resolution data. So it is mostly used for your global climatic models or regional climatic models.
Okay.
But for urban level, like if you want to do that kind of analysis within urban area, that kind of data unfortunately is not there at the moment.
Okay, okay. Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Kshama ma'am, first of all, thank you very much. I'm really sorry. I had to attend somebody. He was paralyzed. So we have to rush to hospital. So first of all, thank you very much for accepting my request. And
Thank you very
I
much.
hope the session went well. I just came here, and that was also. Any more questions? Ma'am, I think there are no more questions. So
Okay. So
Well-
I hope people have enjoyed, and because I try to cover as much as possible, like different kind of applications which are possible. So,
ma'am, because I'm regularly follower of your research, because of the working in the same domain, urban heat island and all these things. So I keep on reading your techniques that you provide basically to, and the simplistic way of how to approach these urban heat island and the Indian style of doing the same thing.
yeah.
Similar the WOODAPT research that you have conducted for different cities. So those I have gone through in detail, and I hope all the participants have also enjoyed it a lot. And
Yeah, I skipped that climate part in this deliberation because we'll be
yes,
covering it
yes,
in the
ma'am,
Monday
yes, ma'am, yes,
session.
ma'am.
So
So we'll be connecting back again on 14th,
yeah,
Monday
definitely.
morning.
Yeah, sure.
So thank you very much, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me. And
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you. To all the participants, we'll be sending you a feedback link for the day, alternative to the like Zoom participation, that Zoom automatic recording that we are having. So apart from that recording, the feedback links will also provide the, let's say, alternative measure to count the number of people, because there are more number of people who are attending the YouTube live session. So I'll be sending you a feedback link. So thank you very much. We'll call it a day. And thank you very much for being the patient learner and listener and learner. And I request you all to kindly engage in discussion with all the speakers that we are having. So the speakers will also be able to distribute, like let's say, we'll send here in WhatsApp group. Yes, we'll be sending it in WhatsApp group. I won't be sending it here. And kindly have patience. We'll be sending it somewhere around 7 p.m. So thank you very much. We'll call it a day. Tomorrow morning, we'll be joining you back again at 10:15. So all of you are requested to kindly join at maximum by 10:10, because the automatic recordings will be like taken at 10:30 and then 11, then 11:30. So all those three recordings will be there, and attendance will be marked based on that. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
FDP team, Sumit,
Yes, sir.
please stop recording in the live session.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.